In the final brutal months of World War II, the world watched as U.S. Marines landed on the black volcanic sands of a tiny island called Iwo Jima. The iconic image of the flag raising on Mount Suribachi symbolized victory, but beneath the surface, a hidden war was raging, and what they found inside those tunnels would shock the world and haunt veterans for decades. This wasn't just a battle. It was a descent into a subterranean nightmare. The Japanese commander, General Tadamichi Kuribayashi, knew he couldn't win a conventional fight. So he devised a revolutionary and terrifying strategy. He turned the entire island into a fortress, not above ground, but below it. For months, his soldiers dug relentlessly, carving out a massive network of tunnels stretching over 11 miles. This wasn't just a few foxholes. It was an underground city of death, with more than 1,500 chambers connected by a labyrinth of dark, narrow passages. When the Marines pushed inland, they found the island eerily quiet, but the silence was a trap. The Japanese were waiting, hidden deep within the volcanic rock. They would let the Americans pass, then emerge from concealed spider holes and tunnel entrances to attack from the rear, sowing chaos and confusion. The Marines were fighting an enemy they couldn't see, an army of ghosts that could strike from anywhere and then vanish back into the earth. To clear these tunnels, the Marines formed specialized units, later known as tunnel rats. These were incredibly brave, or perhaps incredibly crazy, soldiers who would crawl into the darkness armed with only a pistol, a flashlight, and a knife. The experience was pure terror. The air was thick with the smell of sulfur and death, hot and suffocating. The passages were so tight they often had to crawl on their stomachs, never knowing what lay around the next corner. The Japanese had engineered these tunnels for maximum psychological warfare. They were filled with devious booby traps, grenades rigged to tripwires, hidden explosives, and sharpened bamboo stakes. The tunnels often had sharp 90-degree turns designed to stop attackers and create deadly kill zones. A single machine gun placed at a bend could hold off an entire squad. Japanese soldiers would launch sudden, screaming ambush from hidden side chambers, their voices echoing unervingly in the dark. For the men crawling through, every shadow was a potential enemy, every sound a prelude to death. They faced not just the enemy but also claustrophobia, heat exhaustion, and the constant, gnawing fear of being trapped alive. They found that the tunnels weren't just for fighting. They discovered underground command centers where officers directed the battle. They stumbled upon makeshift hospitals, filled with the wounded and dying, where surgeries were performed in near-total darkness. These were entire societies living and dying beneath the battlefield. General Kuribayashi's orders were clear. Fight to the last man. He forbade the traditional banzai charges, which he saw as a waste of life. Instead, his men were to use the tunnels to kill 10 Americans before they themselves were killed. Surrender was not an option. This was deeply rooted in the Japanese honor culture of the time, amplified by intense wartime propaganda that portrayed the Americans as inhuman monsters. As the Marines slowly cleared the tunnel, using flamethrowers and explosives to seal off entrances, they faced a harsh reality. Many Japanese soldiers, faced with defeat, chose mass suicide over capture. They would detonate grenades, killing themselves and their comrades in a final defiant act. The discovery of these scenes left a permanent scar on the young Marines who witnessed them. They weren't just fighting soldiers. They were fighting an ideology that valued death over surrender. The battle officially ended after 36 days of savage fighting, but the story of the tunnels was far from over. Years after the war, the full extent of this underground network was still being discovered. And then came the most astonishing discovery of all. Japanese soldiers, completely cut off from communication and unaware the war had ended, were found still hiding deep within the tunnels. 2 soldiers, Yamakaze Kufuku and Matsudo Linsoki, finally surrendered in 1949, 4 years after Japan's defeat. They had survived by scavenging, completely oblivious to the world outside their subterranean prison. Their story highlights the incredible isolation and psychological endurance of the soldiers who called these tunnels home. For the American veterans who fought there, Iwo Jima was a battle that never truly ended. The experience of fighting in the tunnels left deep psychological trauma. The constant darkness, the sudden violence, and the claustrophobic terror led to lifelong nightmares and what we now recognize as post-traumatic stress disorder. They had faced an enemy in the most primal and terrifying environment imaginable, and it changed them forever. Even today, Iwo Jima remains a dangerous place. The ground is still riddled with unexploded ordnance, grenades, shells, and bombs that failed to detonate. The tunnels themselves are unstable, and many are sealed off for safety. The island has a haunted reputation, a place where the echoes of the past are palpable. War archaeologists and recovery missions continue to explore the tunnels, not for military intelligence, but to recover the remains of the thousands of Japanese soldiers still entombed within the island. Each discovery is a somber reminder of the human cost of the battle. The tunnels of Iwo Jima are a powerful testament to human ingenuity, desperation, and the brutal realities of war. They represent a hidden chapter of World War II, a story not of grand strategy on a map, but of individual survival and terror in the dark. What was found inside those tunnels wasn't treasure or secrets, but the profound and horrifying lengths humans will go to in the name of duty, honor, and survival. It's a story that continues to shock and sober us, reminding us of the hidden depths of conflict that lie just beneath the surface. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as compelling as we did, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into history's forgotten chapters.